My dad said something about my girlfriend that shocked me. We were sitting quietly after dinner, plates cleared, tea cooling between pauses. The room felt ordinary, almost sleepy. Then my dad looked up suddenly, not at me, but past me, like he was choosing honesty carefully. He said her name without hesitation, said it gently, without judgment, then said something I wasn't ready for, something I didn't expect him to notice, something I had never admitted aloud. He said, "She makes you softer." The words landed heavier than criticism. He wasn't warning or doubting. He wasn't questioning her intentions. He was observing me. The way my shoulders rest around her. The way my voice changes when I speak. He said, "You listen more now. You argue less, just to win. You don't disappear into anger anymore. You pause. You consider. You stay." I laughed it off at first. Tried to protect my emotions with humor. But inside something shifted. Because fathers see patterns we ignore. They notice changes we call coincidence. They feel growth before we name it. He said, "She doesn't chase you, and she doesn't shrink for you either. She lets you arrive as you are, and somehow that's why you do." He said that kind of love is rare and unsettling. Then he said the part that shocked me. He said, "Don't lose her by fear. Don't test her patience unnecessarily. Don't confuse silence with safety. Some people don't fight loudly, they just leave quietly." I sat there, stunned, not because he was harsh, but because he was right. I had been holding back parts of myself, waiting for something to break, because that's what love taught me before. My dad said something else softly. He said, "When a woman brings peace, don't mistake it for boredom, and when she sees you clearly, don't hide behind old defenses. She's not your past." That hit harder than advice ever could, because it wasn't about rules. It was about responsibility, about choosing presence over protection, about not making someone prove love just because others failed before. That night, I thought about my girlfriend, not the way I usually do, not with longing or fear, but with clarity, with gratitude, with intention. I realized love doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's recognized by those watching quietly, by someone who's loved longer than you, lost deeper than you, and still believes in steadiness. My dad shocked me that day, not by warning me, but by trusting me to be the man who doesn't ruin what finally feels right. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of that responsibility. Later that night, his words stayed awake. Not loud, not accusing, just present. They followed me into silence, into the space where excuses usually live. I replayed moments with her differently, not the dramatic ones, but the quiet scenes I overlooked. How she waits without demanding, how she listens without interrupting, how she doesn't rush my healing. I realized my dad wasn't praising romance. He was naming emotional safety, something his generation rarely articulated, but deeply understood through endurance, through mistakes, through watching love fail and survive. He noticed how I don't disappear anymore, how I don't need chaos to feel alive, how my anger doesn't lead conversations, how I return instead of retreat. Those changes, aren't accidental. They were responses to being met gently. I thought about how she challenges me, not loudly, not with ultimatums, but by expecting consistency, by not rewarding distance, by staying rooted in who she is. That scared me more than arguments ever did, because peace leaves nowhere to hide, no role to play, no wounds to weaponize, just honesty, just showing up as myself. My dad saw that before I did. He saw how I lean toward her, how my defenses soften around her, how I speak slower, listen longer, care more intentionally. He didn't say, protect her. He didn't say, marry her. He said, don't lose her by fear. And that distinction mattered, because fear had cost me before, quietly, repeatedly. I realized I was waiting for a flaw, a reason to retreat, a moment where I could say, see, this is why I don't trust peace. But she never gave me that exit. She gave me steadiness instead, which required something different from me: maturity, presence, responsibility. That night, I didn't text her poetry. I didn't over explain my feelings. I simply told her I appreciated her, and meant it without urgency, without fear of losing control. My dad shocked me because he didn't warn me about her. He warned me about myself, about the ways I could sabotage something good if I stayed loyal to old patterns. And for the first time, I didn't feel defensive hearing it. I felt ready, ready to choose differently, ready to love without testing, ready to stay when things feel calm, because love that brings peace deserves protection too, not from the world, but from the parts of us that learned survival instead of safety. I watched her differently, after that, not suspiciously, not romantically exaggerated, just honestly. I noticed how she shows up, even when nothing exciting is happening, how she stays the same on good days and ordinary ones, how she doesn't perform affection or withdraw it to be chaste, how her consistency doesn't fluctuate based on my mood or distance. I realized how unfamiliar that still feels to me, how part of me keeps waiting for love to suddenly become conditional, for warmth to turn into withdrawal, because that's what I learned early, that peace never lasts. My dad didn't say any of that directly, but somehow he touched that place, the part of me that confuses comfort with danger, that mistakes calm for the eye of a storm. He reminded me that not everything stable is about to collapse. I thought about how often I pull back, not because something is wrong, but because something is right, because being seen without chaos means being responsible for what's seen. With her, there's no hiding behind confusion, no drama to distract from truth, no excuse to disappear emotionally. She notices when I'm not fully there, and instead of chasing, she waits. That waiting isn't passive, it's grounded. It says, I know who I am, and I won't abandon myself to keep you. That kind of strength used to scare me because it doesn't bend. My dad saw that too. He saw that she doesn't try to fix me, or complete me, or save me from myself. She just stands where she is and lets me choose. That choice is the hard part, not because I don't care, but because choosing means no longer blaming the past, the timing, the wounds. Choosing means owning how I love. I realized how often I've tested people without meaning to, pulling away to see who follows, withholding vulnerability to see who stays, calling it self-protection when it was really fear. My dad didn't shame that. He just named the cost. He showed me what I could lose. not by doing something dramatic, but by failing to grow when growth was required. That's what shocked me most. Not that he noticed her impact, but that he believed I could meet it, that he spoke to me like someone capable of not repeating old cycles, of not turning peace into boredom or safety into distance. Since then, I've been paying attention to the moments I want to retreat, to the urge to create space, just to feel in control again, and instead, I pause. I stay present a little longer. I speak. Instead of withdrawing, I choose clarity over silence. Not perfectly, but consciously. She hasn't changed. And that's the point. The change is happening in me. Slowly, uncomfortably, honestly. My dad shocked me because he didn't give instructions. He gave perspective. He trusted me with the truth. That love like this doesn't ask loudly, but it does require maturity. And for the first time, I'm not asking whether I'm ready. I'm asking whether I'm willing to protect something good by not running from it, willing to let peace stay, even when fear says move. That's the part I'm still learning. And this time, I don't want to fail it. Days passed, but nothing faded. The weight of his words didn't lessen. It softened, like something absorbed, becoming part of how I move now. I began noticing my reflexes, the tiny moments before reaction, where I usually retreat, or joke, or teach, ange. The subject, those seconds became mirrors. With her, those moments matter, because she notices presence, not grand gestures, but whether I'm actually there, whether my eyes stay, whether my attention listens fully. I realized how often I confuse intensity with depth, and how she offers depth without demanding intensity. That balance unsettles parts of me still addicted to emotional extremes. My dad once loved that way too. I see it now in his silences, in how he watches rather than reacts, in how he learned lessons the hard way and chose to pass one forward without bitterness. He wasn't warning me about heartbreak, he was warning me about stagnation, about choosing comfort over growth, about letting fear keep me familiar when unfamiliar was asking me to rise. With her, there's no emotional battlefield, no winner or loser, just two people deciding daily to show up honestly. That simplicity is heavy because it leaves nowhere to hide. I catch myself wanting reassurance, not because she's distant, but because she's steady, and steadiness doesn't constantly prove itself. It just exists and expects trust in return. That trust is the work, not romantic, not dramatic, just daily, just choosing not to sabotage what doesn't hurt me. I think about how easily I could lose her, not by cheating or betrayal, but by emotional absence, by staying guarded, by waiting for her to fail. Instead of meeting her halfway, my dad saw that pattern before it fully formed. That's what shook me. He saw the ending and offered me a different middle. Now, when she speaks, I listen without preparing defenses. When she's quiet, I don't assume danger. I let silence be what it is, a pause, not a threat. I'm learning that love doesn't always feel loud. Sometimes it feels stable. Sometimes it feels like choosing the same person. On days that don't feel cinematic, on days that just exist. That kind of love asks for maturity, not perfection, not performance, just honesty, just consistency, just presence. My dad shocked me because he my dad shocked me because he